Eye on Gauteng, brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Economic Development.
Start with Molefe. Molefe, the youth in this country, lots of them unemployed, lots of them not knowing what to do after school. Is entrepreneurship really the answer for those idle youth?
Certainly it is. I think what YH really promises to do is really to instill a culture of entrepreneurship so that entrepreneurship is seen as a way of life, as an alternative to job seeking. This is clearly demonstrated when young people go to tertiary institutions, that some of them go there to train to be employed and not to be trained to create employment. So entrepreneurs has to become really the option that will address the issue of unemployment and also creation of jobs.
Well, Molefe, typically somebody that comes out of school very desperate, they quite anxious, parents, society putting pressure on them. What are you going to do now? I'm just worried that the YH program is not seen as some sort of handout.
Oh, certainly not. I think it is really a support and a boost to actually kickstart the whole process of entrepreneurship. Remember, the initial process, what you want to do is to really put the person right with a potential funder, and that's what you create the environment and the system so for that to happen. Otherwise, you cannot deliver on an entrepreneurship or entrepreneurs, potential entrepreneurs, if you don't have systems in place. So that boost as a grant really is just to kickstart the person, so that we also can facilitate conversation with potential funders.
All right, Dr. Ledwaba, obviously somebody like yourself, been involved with business many years, you've actually blazed quite a trail yourself. And is entrepreneurship something you're born with or something that you are taught?
It's actually quite interesting, because when people read my books and many things, even on our page, I was almost born into entrepreneurship because
you started at the age of 15, right?
Yes, and I started in electronics. You know, some people who knows the old KV191 Sonys and those, I fixed them. I programmed in binary codes when Mnet started to broadcast. So I did work for them as a young man in Soweto. So entrepreneurship is something that really was bleeded into my system.
Do you think this program is what the youth need?
Certainly. I mean, that is one of the reasons why YH looked at the Dwaba Chambers of Commerce and Industry in terms of helping out with the mentorship program, because of the long experience and actually the in-today thing, that in-today experience or hand experience. We cannot create jobs if we do not breed good entrepreneurs.
All right. I want to bring Ernest in. We'll get back to that. I want to bring Ernest in. Ernest, in your experience, you've seen a lot of youngsters. They've got that enthusiasm of youth. Is that a very important ingredient to a successful business?
I think it is. Just recently, you know, there's an example, I think, a successful entrepreneur in America who spoke about, you know, when he was much younger and he started out on his journey, he basically walked through a dark room. And it's only when he got to the other side of the room and switched the lights on that he realized all the obstacles that he had to sort of navigate past. Young people, I think, have that in them. The fact that whether it's as a result of immaturity or age, you know, we tend to embrace and take up challenges which much older people probably would think twice because of a lot of other circumstances in their lives.
So the youth, the ingredient of youth, YH, and expertise such as yourself, that is a recipe for success. Is that what we're saying, Molefe?
Yes, certainly. I think, look, the space for entrepreneurship is a shared space. You can never have one person want to deliver the success story about entrepreneurship. It really, in a collaboration, the Dwaba Chambers is one example of partnerships that we have. And I think also the critical partner here, referring to the point you spoke about earlier, parents are critical. Especially when it comes to children, because they already have set out plans what their children must achieve when they complete matric and all of that, and they go to university. So at the earlier stage, we should be trying to really bring parents on board and try and assist them how to support their children to achieve that as entrepreneurs.
Let's talk about attitudes, the culture of entrepreneurship, Dr. Ledwaba. That culture, traditionally in the township or in the informal economy, if you're trying to set up your business, you're seen as a maverick, you're seen as, some people might even call you a crook because you don't want to wake up every morning and go to work. You know, you want to make a quick buck. That perception of entrepreneurship, how are we going to change that?
It's quite simple. The chambers, and if you look at it, that's why a chamber is an enclosed place for people of common interest. right now, prior to 94 and due to our past, when it was seen like that because government was not coming in with programs like YH. You know, a formal structure where people can now recognize entrepreneurship and most importantly, the goods or services that are produced so that people can look into it. You know, I mean, right now, that's why programs like YH are now starting to say, we're formalizing what was informal and actually making it to be part of economic development growth.
The mainstream economy.
Mainstream, and that's really, really encouraging.
All right. Now, Ernest, obviously, you have seen quite a few enterprise development programs. And in your opinion, what is the most important support that a young entrepreneur would need?
Okay. What I believe, honestly, is that there isn't one particular product that on its own would make for a successful enterprise development program. There's probably a basket of goods that one needs to bring into consideration.
What can't be left out?
And I think this is what YH has got right. You know, a good combination of training, mentorship, and funding is what most young businesses need to propel their success.
Training, mentorship, and funding. Is that the order? Or is it funding first, training next? I mean, how's it going to work?
I don't know. We both are talking.
You both can jump in.
Yeah. To me, first is attitude. You see, I always preach to business people. I mean, even now, some of our partners are the likes of Sasol and Eskom and them. I was at COP17 addressing people on enterprise development. Even there, I say, if you have the right attitude, then you can achieve. To me, that is number one.
Molifi?
Well, certainly, I think this is what the new venture creation course seeks to do, really, is to address exactly that attitude. From the beginning, that's why training is a critical component that you're beginning with. Yes. And then out of that training, attending class for 6 weeks, you go into researching your business idea because you don't have business experience at all. So just to test it and also own the process of developing a business plan and guide it through it. I think that's basically what we are saying. Then funding facilitation comes more with mentorship, comes more towards the tail end. But what we have already agreed to and identified as a process is really looking at really pre-mentorship, when whilst a person is still in class, introduce that person to a buddy, or to introduce that person to a relationship that he or she can grow into as we go to funding facilities. Because the banks are looking for structure, for support. If that exists, it'll make the conversation easy with the banks.
We'll talk about the banks a bit later in the second half. Just very quickly before we go to the break, Ernest, what role did mentorship play among the people that you mentored or at least helped to get mentorship?
Mentorship is key. A lot of the businesses that we've supported come from environments where there's townships or rural areas where there isn't a culture of entrepreneurship, and therefore there aren't people around you that will provide you guidance and help show you the way. Mentorship is key in a sense that you need that sounding board, that pillar that you can always turn to and ask questions.
And the mentor would be a successful entrepreneur in his own right.
Okay. Yes. Mentors come in different shapes and forms. I think it's always best bet is to have a successful entrepreneur, but you certainly can get people who come from academia, who have a lot of other experience that even as a young entrepreneur, you may benefit tremendously from.
And the young entrepreneurs are like sponges. They soak in all of this and hopefully become successful business people. Right, we're going to take a short break. We're taking a break and more on Iron Gauteng when we come back. We want to talk about funding. We want to talk about how to crack it with the bank manager. Stay tuned.